Hi folks, you know, only 3 times in the history of humanity has a single event, approximately a half hour in length, altered the course of world history. Well, the program you're about to see is going to be another one of those miraculous events. So, bon appetit, enjoy. Hi, I'm George Grande and welcome to Primetime, where later in the program we'll be talking with Rick and Alice LaFonde. Oh, there they go now. We'll be catching up with them a little later. About Morgan horses, fine animals. And also on the big show, golf pro Jim CASAGRANDE and my first guest, well, it's Lifestyles of the Polka Rich and Famous with Larry Chesky. My next guest has been performing polkas for as long as I can remember. He's been inducted in the Polka Hall of Fame, and he is president of Rex Records as well as Modern Male International, and the titles go on and on. Please welcome to Primetime, Larry Chesky. Larry, welcome to Primetime.
Pleasure being here, George.
Well, the legend continues.
You know, it's funny you say that, because just this past week we worked in Westchester County, and I was talking to a woman. She must have been in her 80s, and she didn't even say that her mother remembers. She said her grandmother remembers me. So I go back a long time.
Wow. In the early days, was stage fright ever a problem for you, or were you a natural and you just got up there and did your thing?
I don't know, more or less though, but I always try to have that I pan a smile, as they say. So when I go out there, it's just an automatic smile for everybody, and that's the way I feel about it also, truthfully.
Now, you've recorded an awful lot of records. How many exactly? What are the numbers?
Oh, numbers roughly. I don't know. I would say probably we've cut 1,000 different songs over the years and very close to 100 albums. That's funny I mentioned that because B.B. King, the other night I saw him on television, he was saying that he recorded about 100 different albums. Altogether, don't forget, George, I've recorded for approximately about 14 labels over the years. I mean, a lot of labels were just 1 or 2 records or something, but
still, it could be more than B.B. King recorded for.
That's interesting.
You know, 100 albums. Most people that record today, they have trouble selling 100 records.
Well, I don't know. The only thing is, I've got to clarify a little bit too. I assume the next question is going to say, you know, how were these records, or were they good, and so on and so forth. A lot of these albums, I'd say probably 20% or 30% were not done under the name of Larry Chesky. I used the name of Joe Pulaski for many years back in the 60s, Stanley Wesolowski. I used that name a little bit in the 70s, and we were selling the material under several different names, and it all came out the same way.
And it was basically the same Larry Chesky Orchestra. You do an awful lot of traveling. Where are you the most popular when you go on the road, and is the reaction the same from place to place?
Now, more or less what we're doing is we do our usual winter tour. We usually go to Florida right after the holidays, right after the first of the year. And we'll do the West Coast for about a week, and then we'll take a little break because I have a condominium down in Miami. And then the boys will do the East Coast the following week or weekend. And we'll do about 2 or 3 weeks down there, and then the fellows will come back. And I'll stay for the rest of the summer and get back here to Holyoke for the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
A place right here in Holyoke. You performed at Mountain Park for a number of years. In fact, you shot your video there, or part of it.
They say that when you talk about legends, they used to call me the legend of the mountain. I was at Mountain Park, I think it amounts to something over 35 years. And during that period of time, I could say it was one of the most pleasurable accounts and things that we ever done. Probably I don't know how many people here in the Western Massachusetts area are familiar with Mr. Collins, but it wouldn't be possible to do all those years unless it wasn't for a person that was very understanding. If we had to go on the road, he would understand, somebody would take our place, and it just continued. And he was just super to work with, and therefore he must have been, or I don't think I would have been there quite that length of time.
Now, who are some of the headliners that you've performed with in your many travels?
Well, before we start with our travels, probably the best thing to start with would be Mountain Park alone. Mountain Park, for many, many years, we were kind of the staff orchestra up there, and the Welk stars all came in, from Sissy and Bobby to Myron Florin. They were all at Mountain Park, and then for a while, not only them, but we had all the stars at one time or another at Mountain Park. But then for the longest time, we did the fair circuit, which included New York State Fair and Eastern States Exposition. We had the pleasure of sharing the stage with some people as Barbara Mandrell, Bobby Vinton, Sky King, that's how far we go.
Sky
King, that goes way back. And there was a young lady, her name was Kitty. She was on the Gunsmoke show. We did shows with her. I'm trying to think of Jimmy Dean, I think. Well, we worked with him on many occasions. There was just so many over the years, and it was all just so much fun.
You have 3 videos out at the present time, and I understand you recorded the first polka video. What prompted you to do this?
We've tried over the years to be good to the music business, and we wanted to be kind of the first and set the pace for the rest of the fellows, such as the terrific bands of Jimmy Sturr and Dick Pillar and Eddie Blazonczyk out of Chicago. And we just kind of wanted to put our stamp at the beginning, and we thought we had some pretty good ideas because of the people that we had producing our particular videos happened to have a little bit of money and could spend it properly. And from this, I think a lot was learned for the entire polka industry after watching our video. And if you notice, if you buy another polka video, you'll see that they very, very closely follow our lines, which we are happy about, because at least we thought we were going in the right direction, and evidently we must have, because people have followed and doing what we are doing.
Once again, you've paved the way.
I don't know, a legend in my own mind.
That's what they all say. So right now, let's take a look at that video, Larry Chesky, and I Really Want to Play in Your Band.
I understand the ups and downs of music. I suppose it's not been easy all these years. But I can see from afar that you really are a star, and I really want to play in your band. I played and played all of your records. I think I know them all by heart. Another night of fun, and you're back on the run. I really want to play in your band.
I swear to God, I only want to be with you. I promise you I'll always do my best. I don't mind playing second fiddle. Oh, I just want to play in your band.
You seem so far away in those spotlights. The starlights have made you so blind. You're not even aware or notice I am there, but I still want to play in your band. You hardly get a chance to talk to me. If so, it's for a second or two. You got music in your heart, and I known it from the start, but I still want to play in your band.
I swear to God, I only want to be with you. I promise you I'll always do my best. I don't mind playing second fiddle. Oh, I just want to play in your band.
there's a chance that you could feel it in your heart. I pray the Lord you'd give me just a start, where applause is the game and rewards are fun and fame. I really want to play in your band. For you it's just another of those evenings where all memories are left behind. You had fun, laughter, and cheer, but we thank the Lord you are here. But I still want to play in your band.
I swear to God I only want to be with you. I promise you I'll always do my best. I don't mind playing second fiddle. Oh, I just want to play in your band.
Gee, Larry, that really sounded great.
Thank you, George.
And all those innovative ideas, and I know a lot of time and hard work went into that.
That was one of the tunes that we really enjoyed doing. It's a fun song. It tells the whole story about the whole business, and you should know about that.
I certainly do. I realize you run a business and you still get out there and play. What do you do for fun in between?
Well, you know, George, with the family I have 4 lovely daughters, and of course, I don't know how to say this to say it the correct way, but I was on the road for a long time, and I didn't have a chance to quite do all the things I like to do with my kids. But now I have a chance to do the things I should have done, and I really enjoy doing with my children and their families, because I'm a grandpapa already, and we enjoy every bit of it. And if you could see kind of our home here or something, probably with our swimming pool and all, we do quite a bit of entertaining at home. And we managed to get away on weekends. I'll tell you a funny story just last weekend. I said to the wife we were going to get away for the weekend because I wasn't playing, and I took her all the way to Springfield to the Sheraton Terra, and we spent the weekend at the Sheraton Terra. A funny thing, she drove up and she says, I didn't realize I'd be here so fast. I think it was 4 minutes took us to get there. Well, we enjoyed dinner and dancing, had quite a weekend right in Springfield.
Now, a few years ago, you were inducted into the Polka Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on that? What kind of an experience was that for you to go all the way to Chicago and receive this honor?
I went out with kind of a little different attitude, but when I got there, I found out that it was quite an honor, and I just couldn't be humble enough, only because of the fact that it is an honor that's picked by your peers, and there's only 18 of us over the year. One fellow a year is basically given for contributing to your industry. And I really enjoyed it very, very much. Of course, when you're with names like Frankie Yankovic and some of the big boys, you really give it a lot of thought. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal back about 2 weeks ago. In fact, my banker sent it to me, and it was in reference to Lawrence Welk's son. Wrote a letter to Hall of Fame in Chicago, and he wanted to know why his father was never embronzed or there. It doesn't have a plaque there. And evidently, the way the people are chosen for the Hall of Fame, it's all the promoters, the disc jockeys, and the people in the industry that vote, and they send their votes, they are handpicked to Loyola University, and I think it's something like 1,200 people that vote on this. Well, getting back to Mr. Welk's case, his son was a little put out because his dad was just never put in the Hall of Fame, according to this article that was a Wall Street Journal. But anyway, if you read the whole article, they just simply told Mr. Welk that he wasn't really a polka person. I mean, he played one polka on his Saturday night shows, and he recorded several polkas.
He was not a polka artist.
Wasn't a polka artist, and really, as good as he was and as well as he played his polkas, he just did never really to enhance the polka industry. So I hope Mr. Welk is satisfied with that answer.
Your dad's been with the band as long as I can remember, and how has he helped you through the years in many different ways, I'm sure?
Well, George, I don't even think I'd be here today talking about music if it wasn't for Papa Joe Chesky. He certainly stood with me and helped me all the way through my musical career. he was on a roll with me all these years. And up until just a short period of time, he stopped playing the bass, but he occasionally comes on jobs and sings a little bit of Gwemboka Stujinka or something of that nature. And but he's doing
But
great.
he's recorded with you too, and
He's done several albums with me. I think Papa Joe's going to be in his early 80s very shortly, and believe me, I think he's got more pep than I have. I just hope I have the longevity and the health that he's also was like. But he's doing great, and I certainly enjoy having him with me all the time.
well, he stays busy up in his record shop upstairs from your office.
Yes, in fact, when it comes to, we're in the Polish product business, of course, but when it comes to music, you can ask Papa Joe just about any question about any record or tape or video, and he always has the answers.
Well, Larry, I want to thank you for being our first guest on Prime Time and having us up to your nice home here in Holyoke.
Thank you, George. We'd like to say thank you very much, and we'd also like to say to all of the viewers of Prime Time out there that we'd like to thank them for having us into their home, and we hope they come out to see us sometime and do the polka with us, enjoy themselves.
Certainly. Come back anytime. And we'll be back with more Prime Time after this.
Help conserve our forests. To find out what you can do, write to Forests, National Wildlife Federation, Washington, D.C. 20036.
My next guest has been a pro here at Westover Golf Course for around 3 years. Please welcome to Prime Time, Mr. Jim CASAGRANDE. Yes, Jim, welcome to Prime Time.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And you've been a pro here for 3 years. How long have you been a pro?
I've been in the PGA program for about 10 years now.
Now, over here at Westover, tell us a little bit about the facilities. What do you have to offer?
Well, Westover Golf Course is an 18-hole facility. It's a championship layout. It's 7,000 yards. We have a full fleet of golf carts here. Greens fees are very reasonable. It's a very busy course, so you do need to call in advance. But we have a fully stocked pro shop, as you can see, restaurant and dining facilities. We offer tournament dates for outings, for local companies, and I mean, we have some tournaments as far away as Boston and Hartford that come up to play at our course.
Have you ever played in any real big tournaments with any of the so-called names of golf?
Well, yes, I've tried to qualify for some tour events. Probably the most widely known in this area is the GHO, or Greater Hartford Open. As of yet, I haven't been lucky enough to play as well as I needed to on those days.
In a big tournament like that, is it luck or skill?
Well, it's definitely skill, but to win a tournament like that, yes, you do have to have some luck on your side, because you're going to get some bad breaks, and hopefully they're not as bad as they could be.
Now, when someone like Paul Azinger, who hit that great chip shot on the 18th green in this year's GHO, was that luck or is that skill? Can you really plan something like that?
Well, to be honest with you, there's a lot of skill at that caliber of player. His odds of making a shot like that are much higher than your average golfer, for sure.
For sure, someone like me.
Well, I'm not sure. I'd have to see you play. But he does have a lot of skill, and obviously to get the ball in the hole from off the green, there is a little bit of luck involved, but definitely skill.
One of my pet peeves about golf is people that move along slow. They won't wave you through. They lose balls, and they still won't wave you through. They don't repair their ball marks or the divots. What can you tell us, and what should people really do about golf etiquette?
Some common golf etiquette that you should know is, for instance, on par threes, to help speed up play, once your group reaches the green, you should wave the group that's on the tee up, and while they're walking up to the green, you can putt out and move along to the next hole. That can substantially eliminate some backups that tend to occur on par threes. repairing ball marks and replacing divots. Really neglected part of the golf etiquette, and it's common everywhere. Unfortunately, that would be nice if we could start changing that, and to some extent that should be done by the people who do play golf now, and the pros, greenskeepers. All of us can educate the people that are coming into the game to help them improve on things like that.
Now, as we've discussed before, I've been playing golf for a while myself, and somehow I can't get past the point of being pretty lousy. Now, what can you do for me? I've been told I'm consistently inconsistent.
Well, that's good. That's good. I've got to change that around and help you out a little bit. You've got to have a swing flaw. It might be one thing, it might be a couple things, but what we'll do is we'll give you 1 or 2 things to work on, and then you can go out to the practice range and hit about 1,000 golf balls, and you'll be ready.
Now, would one of these golf hats over here help?
Oh, definitely. That's got to cut at least 5 shots off your score.
I'm convinced. Let's work our way out to the practice range and see what we can do.
Okay, that sounds real good. Okay, George, first thing we're going to do is change your grip a little bit and your setup, and then we're going to get you to do some leg work, and then you'll be ready to take on Paul Azinger. How's that sound?
Sounds like I'm going to fight Mike Tyson.
All right, well, let's see what we're going to do. All right.
This is what I usually do.
That's right. Okay, take this hand off for a minute. Now, straighten this hand out. Get it more in your fingertips. Okay, now bring your right hand on. Overlap those 2 fingers.
I've never done that before.
Okay, that's all right. It's a little different feeling, but just be confident with it. It's going to feel funny, but you'll get used to it. Okay, that's going to get your hands to work more as a unit. Okay, now when you take a swing, in your back swing, you're going to have your weight shift onto your right side, which you're doing very good. Now on your follow through, I want you to turn towards your target and roll right up on the tip of that right toe so that you're facing your target. Okay? That's pretty good. Just get it right up on the tip of that toe there. Okay, that was hit pretty solid.
Well, Jim, thanks for being a guest on Primetime.
Thanks, George.
Thanks for the tips. I'll let you know later how they work out.
Okay, good.
And if I get involved in any tournaments, are you going to join me as my partner?
Well, if they'll let me, yeah, we'll do that for sure.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks again, Jim.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more Primetime. I've got my hat and everything.
You know what to buy.
The library!
There's no need to shout.
The library. Know-how. No charge.
Hi, and welcome back to Primetime. My next guests have been raising and breeding and training and showing Morgan horses for about 15 years. They are Rick and Alice LaFonde. Welcome to Primetime. Are you excited?
Yes, George.
We're excited.
You have a nice place. Thanks for allowing us to come up and do this first Primetime from WOODSONG Farm. When did it start, but what generated the interest in Morgan horses?
We had 2 trail horses when we first got married, and one of the horses got very ill and died, and Rick actually started us in Morgan's. Tell them how.
I happened to be driving down Route 10 one day, and I saw this truck go by, had Morgan horses written on it. I said, now that's something I've always wanted to own. So I happened to follow this gentleman, and I stopped him, asked him if he knew of any available Morgans for sale, and he told me of a fellow over in South Hadley, and we went over to see his horses, and Alice walked in the barn and said, look at this one, it looks just like Fury. And that was the one that was for sale, and that began us in Morgan horses.
And are they expensive, or does it take a lot of money to get involved in Morgans?
It takes a considerable amount, George. Most people don't realize how much is actually involved. It's not just feeding them, but you also have to have a farrier to take care of their shoes and their feet. You have to have vet bills. Every time the horse gets sick or something, they have to come, and then we have to take care of their teeth, which a lot of people don't realize. So there
So
are,
you have horse dentists.
yes.
Yes.
So there are quite a few expenses.
There is no drilling and filling though.
No.
No.
Just
nothing.
extracting.
There are several different gaits, I believe. Are any more difficult? Do all horses do all the gaits?
Morgans do what we call natural gaits, and they are born knowing how to do these. They walk, they trot, and they canter.
So this isn't really a training
It's
exercise.
not something they're taught. No, they know how to do it, but you improve the form of how they do the three gaits when you're training them, so that they look more like a show horse when you're showing them.
Now there's riding and then there's driving. Now, can a single horse do both? Is either one more difficult than the other?
All the Morgans that we own both drive and ride. They're taught to drive when they're 2, and then when they're 3, we start them under saddle. I wouldn't say that one is harder than the other for the horses. Sometimes you have a horse that prefers riding over driving, though. And sometimes they're perfectly happy doing both.
Oh,
And they
so
look great doing both.
do all yours look great doing both?
Yes, I'd say that. They do.
I think so too. I've seen them. Now I understand you attend several horse shows. You show your horses. Is there any special work, any preparation that goes into these horse shows?
You have to prepare the horses for the classes in the show, so it's more work, and you prepare the horses in a fancier manner than you would at home to work them.
So preparing the horses for a show, it actually takes longer than the class itself.
Oh, yes. Yes, the class just lasts about 15 minutes, and it takes you much longer than that to get them
You're
ready.
preparing for hours.
It's like preparing for a photo session. Maybe you could compare it to that. You have to have all the right clothes on and the hair just so, and then the picture taking doesn't take very long. It's getting ready that does.
And it all makes a difference.
Oh, yes. Yes, they have to look right, and you have to look right.
Now, how does it feel to win a class, to get that blue ribbon?
Oh, it's a very exciting feeling. You kind of have everything flash before your eyes of all the work and everything that you've put into it, and it makes you laugh and cry. And they never have to tell you to smile.
Now, where does the breeding aspect come into the picture?
Well, George, about 9 years ago, we happened to get very fortunate and get a nice little black colt, our first foal that was born on the farm, and we raised him, and he did exceptionally well on the show circuit, and we've kept him. We decided to breed a couple of our mares to him and had some real nice foals, and therefore we decided to keep him and continue our breeding program.
Now, after it's all over, with all the work, all the investment, all the money that it takes to handle these animals, is it all worthwhile in the end?
If you're someone who really loves horses and you've always loved them, then having them is something special to you. And yes, of course, the answer will be yes.
And I assume you enjoy thoroughly what you're doing.
Yes, I do.
Well, I'd like to thank you for having us here for our first prime time, and it's a pleasure having you on the first show.
Thanks for coming over, George. We enjoyed it.
It was a pleasure for us too.
And we'll be back at some point in time. Oh, we have a visitor. It's Rosie.
This is our first baby.
That was your
By
first
our
baby.
stallion. Yes, this is Lady.
It's Lady, not Rosie.
This is
Hi,
WOODSONG,
girl.
Leading Lady.
Leading Lady. Which one was Rosie? She was out
That's
here
her
earlier.
mom.
That's her mom. And I'd like to thank all of my other guests, Jim CASAGRANDE and Larry Chesky, and thank you for choosing us as your evening's entertainment. And do join us again next time on Primetime. Good night, everybody.